So today we have a very special review for you guys. As you can see, this is the new 6th gen refresh 2019 Camaro. This Camaro we have is a 2SS, and first off I must give a huge shout out to Lander Chevrolet of Norman for letting me review this thing. You guys need to come down here to Norman and see them. They have an incredible selection of Corvettes, Camaros, Chevy trucks, the whole 9 yards. So for anything that you need that's Chevrolet, they also have an incredible used selection. So anything that you need for your car buying needs, they'll take good care of you down here. So come on down and see them. So now, let's hop right into this Camaro review. So, as we all know, this 2019 refresh has been incredibly controversial. I personally was a huge fan of the 18 and the beautiful looks that it did provide. But, so what are some of the big differences on the refresh? I think the first thing that we do notice here is that big old bar right across the center. Now, one thing I do have to say about this bar that I am a big fan of is I really appreciate the fact that Chevrolet did go to something sort of like the ZL1 and gave all of the SS's the flow tie emblem. One thing that I'm not so sure about, on this black Camaro, it does look a little bit better than a lot of them, but that big old black bar there. One of the things you'll also notice, and let's go ahead and give it here since this is a 2SS, you do get remote start. So let's go ahead and start this thing up. So one of the things that you'll also notice that's a lot different on the new Camaros is right there. You have that nice long, almost eyebrow kind of look to the front headlamp, which isn't necessarily bad, but it can be off-putting, but I think it's a whole lot better to look at in person. One of the things you'll also notice if you work your way up front, if you guys do recall, on the older Camaros, that air vent was right there in this area. Now they've gone to sort of a Corvette styling like air vent. So right there in the center of the hood, you get a much larger area. A lot of those things are done for one, slightly better aerodynamic performance, slightly better cooling when it comes to performance and everything like that. As we work our way around the sides, there's not a whole lot of difference. You do have a whole lot different wheel options for the 2019 than you had on the 2018s. So the first thing you'll notice here is that nice shiny black wheel that this one has. That is an option, and I must say it's an incredibly good looking option. So if you are speccing a Camaro, I think the black looks incredibly good, especially when you have it with that big black strip kind of bar that's up front with it. I think it just gives it a nice kind of cumulative look. You'll also notice this one has the optional stripe. Now, on the normal Camaro, but any SS, you get 13.6 inch rotors up front, 13.3 inch rotors around the back. They will both be 4-piston Brembos. Although this Camaro here, you'll notice that brake right there actually looks a whole lot bigger, and that's because on this 2SS, it actually does have 6-piston Brembos up front and the 4 pistons in back. One of the difference with that as well is that you will get 14.6 inch rotors, so you actually get a very similar, pretty much the exact same setup as what you have on the 1LE. Come back here, of course, with this package, you still get the 4 pistons and the 13.3 inch rotors in the back, but you do get the red calipers instead. Around the back, there's not a whole lot of difference. One of the styling elements that Chevrolet did change slightly is that you now have different taillights. So I didn't really know what to think about them, but I've come quite accustomed to them, and I must say that I definitely prefer this headlamp style over the last one. Also here, this Camaro does have the quad tip optional exhaust, which allows you to switch between Tour, Sport, Track, and Snow and Ice mode. When you're in Touring mode, it has a much quieter sound, but we'll go over that a little bit later. One of the things you also notice is, of course, here, you have your backup camera. So what is that little guy that sits right there in the center of that? Once we hop inside this thing, we'll go over that just a little bit more. Guys, I'm sorry if there's some wind noise and a bit of shakiness to my hand today. Not everything's aligned perfectly, but you only get so many opportunities to go over this thing. So now, let's hop on inside and see what you guys think. So now, guys, let's hop into the inside of this 2019 Camaro. Now, with it being a 2SS package, One of the first things you'll notice in the door here is you have the ambient lighting. You also have the upgraded Bose stereo system, so that's a very good thing to have, especially if you're into your music. But here, one thing that most of the Camaros that you find don't have is that beautiful red interior. So guys, if you're looking for a rare Camaro like this that has that beautiful red interior, I'll drop a link to it down below for you guys to shop here at the Lander Chevrolet of Norman store. Also, when you option for the 2SS package, you have a nice heads-up display. Of course, that adjusts your brightness, where the heads-up display is located, and also the info that you see up there. There's one of your nice little, what are they called, air vents for the Camaro. As we get on in, you'll notice there, of course, we're low on fuel, so you see that in your heads-up display. You'll also see here on your steering wheel, you get a heated steering wheel. You have forward collision alert, cruise control, the ability to select between all the different things that you're seeing. This one is in transport mode though, so we won't see quite as much. There you have your red stitch steering wheel. You also have your paddle shifters. Now, one thing that this Camaro does have is that new 10-speed automatic transmission. You also see that beautiful display. You have your RPMs, all of your different mile per hour, temperature gauges, the whole 9 yards there. If you go up to your heads-up display, right now I have it on G-force and miles per hour. You can flip it between here, just miles per hour, demo mode. So you have a whole lot of that stuff there. We'll go down here. Now you'll notice here the infotainment system is slightly different here. We have Chevy's Infotainment 3 system. So, of course, it has that beautiful display. Sorry if this isn't showing up quite right. If you go here to your home page, scroll or go right down here to your settings. One of the things about this one that does have the optional dual mode exhaust, you can go in here, driving mode, set your engine sound for stealth, tour, sport, and track, and just like any reasonable Camaro owner, we'll put that right in the track mode. We'll go back here, go back to our settings. Now you have your steering feel, tour, sport, track. We'll just go sport mode on that. One of the things that the Camaro does have, whether you go up to a 1LE or it is an optional package on the SS, is that you can get magnetic ride control. Now, what magnetic ride control does is pretty much offers you a true different selection of ride feels. So depending on which mode that you're in and how you're driving, it will feel considerably different. Also, when you move up to the 2SS package here, you get your dual climate control, heated and cooled seats, all your different options for all of that kind of things. This thing also has Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, navigation, the whole 9 yards. So this thing is about as decked out as you can possibly get. Right down here, of course, you have your shift knob, you have your mode selector that lets you switch between stealth, tour, sport, snow, and ice mode. So whatever driving conditions that you're feeling, you can switch between. Here you have your electronic parking brake, so all of that good stuff. And that's pretty much the summary of what the inside of this 2019 Camaro is. It's an incredible car. Of course, you're going to lack some of the room, some of the visibility that a lot of other cars have. But let's be real here, guys. This car is much more performance-oriented than most other stuff. So you're giving up some features, but at the end of the day, the car does what it's supposed to do, and it does it incredibly well.